Well, hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about what is in our morning basket, or what we are reading for the next month, possibly the next 2 months. I will probably get a few more things to add in for February, but for the most part this is basically what we're going to be reading this winter. So let's get started. Now, if you're new here, my name is Megan and I'm a homeschool mom to 6 kids. My oldest is in 6th grade and my youngest is 2. So when it comes to morning basket time, or book basket, whatever you want to call it, our reading time in our homeschool, I try to plan things that are great for my older kids, but also go well with my younger kids. So you're going to see a wide variety here of different types of read alouds. Not just chapter books, because read alouds aren't necessarily just chapter books. You're going to see a lot of picture books as well as some reference books here. Now, the way that Morning Basket works in our home, if you're new here and this is the first video you've seen with me about it, is this is our basket. It's a literal basket. I think I received a gift in this one time and it was just laying around not being used, so I decided to use it for the purpose of our morning basket. Now, morning basket isn't always done in the morning in our home. Basically, the way we use it is for morning time activities, for our Bible study materials, for our morning menus to get our day started, for our current read alouds, and any books that we're going to be reading for that day or for that week. And so that's how I use it. I just kind of stick it down in here and I set it on the side table next to the couch so that it's in arm's length, ready to start our day, or ready to do a read aloud in the afternoon or during lunchtime or whatever. So let's get started with the staples that you find in our morning basket. Now, before I go too much further, I do want to let you know that this video is actually a collaboration with my sweet friend Jill over at Not So Perfect Homeschool. Jill is one of my dear friends and she is going to be sharing how they utilize morning menus in their morning basket time as well. So make sure that you check out her video after you're done here. I'll stick a link down in the description. So let's get started in, like I said, the staples that are in our morning basket. Now, we have always done these sort of things that I'm going to show you in here, but I have for the longest time had these menus in my cart on Amazon. I know a lot of people have started using these. These menus were in my Amazon cart for well over a year before I decided to take the plunge and think, you know what, I think it really is going to help streamline the process of our morning time. And honestly, it really has, because all of these little things, like going over our verse of the year, last month we did the Lord's Prayer. I have enjoyed adding in a poem for the month, our hymns, all of those things I stick in here in these pages, and all we have to do is just open them up in front of us and we are good and ready to go with our morning time. And so it has just kind of helped streamline that process. Yes, I know you can use binders or folders with brads. You don't have to get these. But for me, these just worked out perfectly, and I wanted to keep it really simple. I didn't want a lot of pages in mine because our morning time actually tends to take quite a while. It's honestly one of my favorite times of the day as a family, just to get our day started with these things together. So this is in there. So I still have our verse of the year in the front. I'm going to keep that in there, at least for, I think I may actually keep it in there the rest of the year just because it's our theme verse. Then on the inside, our hymn for the month is actually Joyful, Joyful, We Adore Thee. And the reason that we're doing that one is I have used a resource on and off for a little over a year now called Happy Hymnody. She does an amazing job. It's this really sweet family. They have a YouTube channel where they will actually have a recording of the song for you to sing along with them. But on their website, they have free printables where every month they have like a copywork page, the actual hymn page, as well as like if you want the hymn in text version, they have that, and it's really pretty. It's not just like plain. And then it's these free printables, so you can just print it off. And they also have links to different versions of the hymn, so you can kind of explore different ways that it has been done as well over time. So that is our hymn for the month, and I will put a link to Happy Hymnody down below if that's something you're interested in. And they have an archive, so you can go back in time and pick different ones. You don't have to do the one that they have for this month. So our poem, this is something I really wanted to be more intentional about. We will read through poetry and stuff pretty frequently, but I wanted to come up with a poem a month for us to do as a family and try to memorize. Last month was Christmas Bells by Longfellow, and that was really powerful, especially because it was written during the Civil War. And we had just finished up our study on the Civil War, and just the words itself are powerful. And then Casting Crowns did a version of that song. And so that became like our favorite song during this past Christmas season. And then before that, we did a cute little Thanksgiving Day. But this poem is actually kind of near and dear to my heart as well. I love Robert Frost. So this is Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening. It's a very, very well-known poem. Most of these poems in this little Frostiana are pretty well known. But I chose this one because of the time of year, but also my plan is to do a music study alongside it, because there is actually choral arrangements of several of Robert Frost's songs. And I sang several of them, but they have a beautiful arrangement of this. I will put a link to it down below too, because I've seen several people on Instagram too posting that they're using this poem as well. So I'll link that for any of you that might be using it. And it's beautiful. It's a men's chorus arrangement, and it's just really neat. It's a neat addition. So that is one of the things I plan to do alongside it. So that is what our actual menus are. So I think I'm going to switch this out with the Apostles' Creed. Our church does a version that's tweaked just a little bit in a few places, and so I'm going to have to type that out and print that out and stick that in there. So that goes in our morning basket all the time. As far as our actual read alouds for the month, we are reading The Long Winter. And then also our curriculum has this planned out, and it is the Christian Heroes book on Hudson Taylor. So those are the two like chapter book read alouds we're doing. Another thing that I wanted to incorporate, I bought this a while back and we haven't started using it yet, but it's something that I would like to use. But it is all about feelings, and it's an Usborne book, and I just thought that that would be something good to go through. So that is in our morning basket as well. And now let's get to some fun little picture books. Now, as I said, my oldest is in 6th grade. However, we always use tons of picture books. Picture books are not just for young children. I even enjoy picture books as an adult. So I'm going to show you some of the ones that I picked up to use this month. This is by no means everything that we will read, because picture books take a short amount of time, and my little ones especially bring me books all the time to read. But these are just ones I intentionally picked up at the library with certain things in mind, and so I will be sharing them. So here's a nice little winter theme book. It's called The Red Sled. Now this book is super simple, and the reason that I picked it is because I wanted to talk a little bit about onomatopoeia, sound words. I thought that this would be a fun activity for us to do that could lead into a good writing assignment for all of my kids, no matter what age they are, where they could maybe write their own story only using sound words. And that is how this one is written. It's a whole story only using sound words. So I thought that would be really fun to do, and I thought it was a cute little book. So The Red Sled would be a fun little morning time book and activity to add to your morning basket as well. Now, my kids really love cute little animals, and so we got prickly hedgehogs. This is one that I thought was just too cute, and I thought they would really love. And what's neat about this book is it's a little story about these hedgehogs, but it has facts in it as well about these hedgehogs. It shows like what they eat and things like that. And I love the pictures, and I think they're really, really gonna enjoy it. So prickly hedgehogs will be joining our morning basket. The next one I have done with all of my kids when they were around 4, and my daughter Lily is 4.5, and as a little preschool activity, we're gonna throw this in the morning basket, and I'll probably have all of my kids do it. I'm thinking about having them work together to maybe act out and retell the story of the mitten. But I can remember reading this even when I was in kindergarten, and it was one of my favorite stories that we did. Like, it still sticks in my memory, and I still remember the little craft we made. You can usually find little free printables and things like that on this that comes with the mitten that they cut out and all the little critters, and they can retell the story and everything. But that's just such a sweet story for her age and also for this time of year. The next thing is, I have shared this, I think I shared it in my fall morning basket, but this is the complete Brambly Hedge. If you're not familiar with Brambly Hedge, you should be. It's just super cute little stories. It reminds me a lot of like Beatrix Potter stories and stuff with the illustrations and everything. My kids love looking at the pictures and all the little details and stuff. So this story that we are going to read, of course, is Winter Story. I thought that would obviously be appropriate, but this is the kind of stuff we love, like all the little details about what it looks like in their house inside and things like that. And so we will be reading that at some point in our morning basket as well. Again, I only put the books that we are going to be reading that day or that week if they fit into our actual morning basket. So I have lots more books to share with you. So that's obviously these are not all going to fit in there at one time. So the next thing I do is when I'm choosing books, especially at the library, is I like to think about what we are going to be focusing on in history for that month. So one of the things is we are actually learning about the Irish potato famine. That is one of the things in history. And so I wanted to make sure that I picked some stories that maybe were representative of like the history of culture, of like storytelling and things like that. So I picked up a few folktale books. So the first one that I got is an Irish folktale. It is called Finn McCool and the Great Fish. So I grabbed that one. I thought that would be good to pull in just as an Irish folktale. They had a whole book of Irish folktales, but I really kind of wanted a picture book version, so I grabbed that one. And then I'm really excited about these. So this one is The Fool and the Fish, A Tale from Russia. And the librarian actually pulled this out and told me that it was really good, that she actually has a friend who's from Russia, and this is one of the story books that she used to read at the library to some of the children there. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll take that one. So we grabbed The Fool and the Fish, and then also Clever Katya, a fairy tale from old Russia. So I just thought it would be fun to pull in some folk tales from some of the countries that we're going to be learning about. Now, before I get to the rest of the books that are kind of history focused and mindset, I was going to share a few things I picked up as kind of some sciencey focused things. Now, we are doing apology is chemistry and physics. So obviously we aren't focusing on like animals and stuff, but my kids love animals. And so we are actually learning about some things that took place in Ethiopia in history as well. Sadly enough, I thought it was really odd, but my library did not have a book on Ethiopia. They had it on a lot of other African countries and stuff, but they didn't have one on Ethiopia. But I did see this African Critters book, and I thought that that would be something good to pull in, just kind of for like a science connection for my kids to dive into some animals that are there. Like I said, they really love animals. So the other thing I grabbed is, because of the time of year it is, I got a book on animal hibernation, because I do have varied ages of kids. Obviously, my oldest son knows about animal hibernation and African critters. However, he still enjoys it, and he still is along for the ride. And you know, it's just interesting to read this kind of stuff. So he hangs on and joins us and enjoys it as well. The other thing, I thought this was neat. It's called Who Was Here? It's observing and identifying different animal tracks. Now, I know my kids are going to love this because we've read a book similar to this a while back. And so I picked this one up. It's not all set in the winter, I should say. There's kangaroos too. But I thought that would be a good one to read as well. Now, let's talk about more history-focused books. I am very much a believer in you don't just go with what a textbook says for history. You want to pull in other stories and sources and views of culture and things like that in order to make sure that what you're learning about history is not just about one specific thing, because history is so vast and so broad. And so I took the things that we are learning about over the next month in history and decided to pick up some books about it. So we're not only learning about a specific event, but also understanding the history and culture of the places that we're learning about. So just like I couldn't find a book on Ethiopia, I thought it was kind of odd. Once again, I could not find a book on Russia. It was really weird. They had them on like Ukraine and Romania and like really, really tiny countries even, but there was not one on Russia. I did find the Russian Folktales I showed you, but this is actually in the adult section. It is a chronicle of all the Russian czars. So we are actually going to be learning some about that in what we're learning about this month. And so I just thought that I could use it for like reference purposes and filter through some of the stuff. You know, it at least gives them pictures. My older boys actually probably will find a lot of information that they will enjoy learning more about in this book. So I did go ahead and check that out. Now, as I said, and I did pick up a book on Catherine the Great. This is actually beyond the time period before the time period that we're currently learning about. But I did kind of want to go back through it again because it does affect the point in history that we're going to be learning about. Okay, as I mentioned, we are learning about the Irish potato famine. So I just picked up another book about that, just that gives like pictures and things like that to go along with what we're reading about in Story of the World. And then in our My Father's World, we are also diving deeper each week into different states. Well, we skipped one of the states, and I realized that. And the state we skipped was Oregon. So I picked up just a book on Oregon for us to read through and get more info about. And also the Nez Perce Native Americans who originated in the Oregon area, and so that we could learn more about the history and culture there as well. So we are also learning about some things that took place in Brazil this month. So I picked up a couple of books. One of them that I wanted to use, I think it was this one, that I originally was just going to get this one book, but this one, yeah, this is the one, did not include a history portion. It's just like the culture aspect of things. This one also included the culture and the daily life, but the tradition part, it included the history of Brazil, and I really wanted that aspect in there. So that is everything that I picked up for the month to be using in our morning basket. As I said, we will probably, as things go along, read other things, but these are the things that I intentionally pick out and how I pick them based on what we're learning in history, based on interests, based on the season, time of year, even holidays, things like that. So I hope that you found this video helpful. I hope that you found some neat little read alouds to add to your homeschool, and I hope to see you on future videos. Make sure that you push that subscribe button, check out Jill's video, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks so much, guys, and have a blessed day.